I'm not sure where the likes come into play. I feel like there's an algorithm that I should be a little more on, which I should be more informed about which. But subscribe now and use the hashtag streamer season 2023 hogs under logs. So hashtag streamer season 2023 hogs under logs, and you'll be entered into a drawing for a replica. I'm not sure when this is going to be done, but I'm getting a guy to make a replica of the biggest trout that I've landed on this river. 29.5 inches. I got a lot of cool pictures of it, and the guy's going to be making a replica of the log that it was near based on my description. And so you'll be entered into a drawing to win some pictures of that log replica with hashtag streamer season 2023 hogs under logs. Thank you. Tell you what, it ain't going to be perfect, but that's not why we're here. I actually had, oh yeah, an update on those clients that I thought might be nymph clients. One of them definitely was. And man, I thought I had something a little more intelligible. This is some 40-pound stainless steel. If I think of it, I'll let you know. Oh man, the dude, one of these guys who fished low water on the Watauga and then popped over to high water on the South Holston, which was dog shit. And it was just, sunny day. Just some days are tough fishing. Split ring and a treble hook with one of them clipped off. And this dude moved. This giant trout he was fishing this drunk, and the guy was, he was on it. That dude could fish. He could cast, he could fish. And I think it takes, all right, sorry, wire, split ring, treble, right? And then we'll go to the wide angle here. And so this is also how you tie, or I guess one of the ways you can tie a beast, getting that mono. So you pinch that. So wrap around once and just pinch it and hold on tight. And then so that'll kind of get your base right there. You can wrap back over, and recently this is just going to be just a real subtle flex with the left-handed whip finish. And I taught myself to do that so that I could come around back, and it was mainly for fixing or adjusting larger flies like game changers, and then doing the musky bucktails. Sometimes you're holding with the musky bucktails, you got this piece of wire out here, and there's different ways to do it where you're not dealing with that. But some of the quick and dirty stuff, I want to, maybe a layer of flash wasn't big enough, or it's kind of cockeyed, and I want it to be evened out. Probably nothing that actually matters, but for fishing. But anyways, that's a fun little. I like to change up tails, like on changers. Some of them will even do a split ring. It kind of affects the swim, but yeah. So there's that. So this is nylon coated stainless steel, and also GSP, which is a plastic. So now I'm just going to grab that hook and that split ring. And if you're trying to get coverage, if you're using mono, you can just hold it and twist. I was outside putting a layer of borax on some deer tails, and that stuff just takes moisture out of everything very quickly. So this method, or whatever you want to call it, is effectively to get around what Steve Uchuk does. I'm just making up how to say his name at this point. Threading the wire through tube. And so, of course, I can cut this off and put that tube over it. You're not going to have, a lot of you won't have rigid tubing. But articulation wire works fine. Beadalon. Uh, 024 is kind of my happy place. And I want this thing back enough to where we have, at a minimum, where we're not having a foul up there. And then I like wrapping, a good deal onto the shank. We're going to be putting foam onto here. So I do not dislike, just put some super glue on, Alice. I should also put a base. There's pros and cons of the base of thread, because you're then applying material to the base, which is very helpful in certain scenarios, and a lot of, I'd say, classical fly tying scenarios. But if you're trying to put, get the metal as securely as possible to the other metal, so wire to the hook, then I'm not going to say one is right, but it feels like going just straight to the hook with some super glue. But in order to do that, you need to have, your thread needs to be able to hang on for a second. So the reason why adding, some extra bulk and mass to the hook shank when we're putting on foam is a good idea is, and I don't have to worry about this, but I am going to. All right, so pointy stuff out the back, got that split ring in case you end up, needing to take it off. If you're just ruining trout that night. A lot of times, when you do a more subtle approach, they can eat it. They will. It's not a splashy eat. They swallow it. So just make sure to pinch your barbs, and if you do have concerns on that or whatever, fish without it. And then if you're losing a bunch of fish, you can pop it on. So what I wanted to do, this is just going to be kind of thinking through off the cuff, live. We got scissors. we arguably have foam. I know I have a giant sheet down there. If you want to use something, just say like about the hook gap. Cut out a reasonably mousely wide and mouse-ish long. I kind of like that. I'm gonna leave a little hanging over the top there. And yeah, so the width of this, having more. When I'm using rabbit, I will also use a lot of super glue. I will put a wrap a rabbit or something around there, and you could do that here with make a little tail, but a couple of wraps on there, and then just pull. So the more you have a thin base that you're tying on and a thick piece of foam, especially with GSP, the more likely you are to cut that foam in half. You can start throwing on, legs, have like, a bunch of wire coming off each side with like 3 or 4 rattles on each side, or some little mini light up LED type deals. I found that I cord the thread a little more just so I don't break it. It catches on stuff. It's easier to wrap through hair when you're tying hair bugs. But that borax came to mind just because I just put lotion on my hands. It just sucks all moisture out of your hands. And so I had all it was just it was looking rough, but it was also I just picked up the thread to wind it through the bobbin because my A1 bobbin for GSP is probably somewhere in my boat. Wax that I keep on the inside of my C-clamp on my vise. And that shit I've had this for years. I have a piece of female Velcro, I have a piece of partner A Velcro here. Partner B is up on a piece of wood that is used also to hang up my desk lamp / YouTube vlogging. It's this old desk lamp that I got at a thrift store. And the dude was actually using it. I was like, dude, how much is that? And he was like, yeah, it wasn't for sale. But I think he saw the hunger in my eyes. But it's just it's a big lamp, and it's most of the stuff I have is like repurposed kind of broken old equipment that I can use for something else or thrift store stuff. Your hair? So this is, oh yeah, my boy. I actually don't know him that well, but Garth that sent me this really like almost like a stacked and packed with Moorish mouse. So that's deer hair in your dubbing loop right there. Sometimes I like to get it away from this guy hanging up. That's what it looks like. And yeah, when you saw me put it in, I'll put it in a clump up at the front, and then I'll work my hands back and basically just try to keep it evenly distributed as I move back, because if there's any part that becomes bigger than the other parts, those other parts where it's less dense, the hair is going to start to fall out. Now I'm just going to spin, and it's really as soon as you get tension on this stuff, it's going to have a hard time falling out. And then I'm pulling here, and you'll see this spin. How about some of this? Whoop. More spinning, more spinning. Whoop. Don't spin too much, because you will cut through your hair. So you can be pretty sloppy here. I kind of don't like to be, but it kind of don't matter. I also want to get this. I did this last time. I want to start back a little bit, so kind of sneaking it back in there. And when you're tying, if you don't use a lot of dubbing loops, I recommend you explore the option. It could work for you. If not, then you can check the box and move on. I like dubbing loops a lot. Once you do it a bunch, you can really control the density, and it's a cool way to put stuff on the metal. So that's just a little bit of water, and then I'm folding it back. And at this point now, it's just like you're palmering schlopping. So you take it around, make sure it's all doing that. Hit your DSLR button. And so I've been thinking about this, but basically just doing this, because this is effectively spinning deer hair, but doing this and then, every 4 or 5 turns, wrenching it back with the packer or even with my hands. So this is, Garth had sent me a video of his Morris mouse, which was like a really packed. It kind of reminded me of this dude in South America who does these really cool predator flies for jungle fish. And one of them, it's like a stacked and packed, really densely packed mouse of deer hair with the foam kind of going over it like that. And yeah, I thought that was cool. So we just got that like that. And when you're tying in foam, just make sure that kind of regardless of, I'm going like quote unquote blind, like where the hook is, but I'm just looking at the top of my foam and saying that is an even wrap. Get this stuff out of here. Once you have deer hair on, I think people have a little more experience generally tying with craft fur or laser dub, something like that. treat it like the same thing, because after it's on, that's all there is to it. That's going to be it. Take a couple more. Put a little glue. How? How? How did you run out? I may have not restarted it, or I just kept talking for forever. I feel like it was out of focus after, or I was out of focus. I wasn't focused. That's it, man. As much as I like the complex, my biggest mousing fish boated was on a really simple, just same deal except with craft fur. And then, like, I don't like how it looks so much that I fish it not as regularly. But it was after a couple splashy eats, and I wanted something that would kind of ride a little lower. Insert thought process that definitely was the reason I was able to catch that fish. I just wanted something that was going to hang in the water a little bit more, and yeah, single hook, size 1 Gamakatsu. This is the TP 605. It's a trout predator light, size 2. Shout out Jack. Arex hook, that is. Yeah, and then some of these other. I mean, I'll be out there with enough ambient light, and I'm watching eats, and I'll tell you, they're not eating mice, or at least they're not eating mice that I can see swimming. So there's big caddis pupa, and there's cicadas and all that. And I'll screw with this up until and even after being on the boat fishing it. So I'll leave that for now. Pretty simple. Moorish, mouse, deer hair, and a dubbing loop. And importantly, if you're not stacking and packing the deer hair, it's not going to do a whole lot to float. In fact, it's going to take on water. So having some heavy foam is going to give you a little momentum on your cast, because it takes up the same, relatively speaking, the same air resistance, same surface area, but being thicker. If you just look at it from the bottom of the top, being thicker, there's just a little more mass, so you can get a little more of the splat, easier to cast, and it's gonna float better than the 2 or 3 millimeter foam. I'm pretty sure this is 6, and you can get, if you just look up on Amazon, people make swords and all sorts of stuff. The sheet is huge, and it's for like cosplay type, making costumes and what have you. It wasn't going to catch a fish, and now, oh, I feel like maybe it was going to catch a fish, but it wasn't going to catch a big fish. But now we are talking. That was a little wobbly for me. So Yeah, now we're talking like mid to upper 30s. With those little adjustments. Before it was we were probably going to max out. Trout over 22 typically don't, they start counting fibers. And sometimes, the really educated ones, the 28, 29, 30s, they'll even know that it's a fly, but they'll know that it's not a mouse, and they'll take a second to sort of, pass their own judgment. And if it looks as though a lot of the time, I mean, some of them are a little more empathetic, or their EQ or whatever is higher. They're empaths, so they're going to be like, did this person spend a lot of time? And if they're feeling soft, they'll probably go for it and just try to make you have a good day or night. And then some other ones will be like, I can tell this person spent a lot of time working on this, and I'm going to swipe it from the side in the only place that I'm not going to be able to get hooked, and then go on my way. But that's brown trout for you. And all of those, all of those findings are published in a National Geographic study like 14 years ago. So let me know if you find that, and go out and pound some fish. Let me know if you tie this thing. I had a couple folks reach out and they tied up some Shankapata mice, which is always cool. It's only 9. It's 10 o'clock. It's only 10. I could go fish for a couple hours. See ya.